Hey everyone, it's Linnea for LDRS Creative. And this video tutorial is all about assembling the Flip Flap Trio dies so that you can make your own Flip Flap card. I promise you this is a whole lot easier than you might think, and by the end of this video you'll be able to make one of these cards in just minutes. I'll take it slow and you'll be able to replicate this really easily. So here's an example of the card that I'm going to make. And you'll see in this video I am using colors that are kind of clashing. That's just so you can see the difference in the colors. You can use whatever color scheme you want. Now this bundle also comes with this 4x6 stamp set, so you'll be able to die cut out that large celebrate word as well as the images in the dice or in the stamp set. So that's what the rest of these dies are for. But this video is just about an assembly tutorial, so we're going to start by going over the pieces you're going to need to make your Flip Flap card. First, you're going to need to cut what's going to be the front of your card. That's that large pink panel. This green panel is what I'm going to call the slider part. Then you're going to need 3 of these little kind of stick figure type scarecrow looking things, and 3 of them will cut with just one pass through your die cutting machine. You're also going to need 6 of these little panels that are actually going to be what flip and flap. That's where you'll put your images. There's a scalloped rectangle, and then there's also a solid rectangle, so you can choose which pattern fits your design aesthetic. So here are the pieces that I'm going to need to die cut to create my card. Your card front, the slider panel, 3 of those little scarecrow looking things, and then 6 of the rectangles. And you can either cut the solid rectangle with the solid edges or the scallops. The other thing that you're going to need to complete your card is an A2 landscape top folding card base. So this is going to be a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to fold that in half at 4.25 to create this landscape top folding A2 card. I'm not going to do a whole lot with this card base in this tutorial, but remember, you could use pattern paper or maybe even stencil or stamp your card base so that it looks super fancy. I'm taking this half circle die from the Flip Flap Trio dies, and I'm going to place that right in the center of either the left or the right hand side of your card, whichever way you want to pull the tab to make this flip flap work. I'm going to use a piece of low tack adhesive, some washi tape or anything like that will work, just to hold this die in place over on the right hand side of my card. I'm going to hold this up to the camera here so you can see I'm putting that die all the way over onto the edge. Then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Now I am cutting through both layers of my card, the front and the back, so you might have to rock this through your die cutting machine or roll it through a couple of times. I found that this card, and like a lot of interactive cards, works best if you use thinner cardstock. So we're talking 65-pound, maybe 80-pound cardstocks, things that aren't super thick because there's folding and mechanisms that need to move in order to work. All right, so let's start building this interactive piece. I'm going to start with one of these yellow pieces here, and there is a square on one end, and I'm going to fold that back so that the square is tucked underneath the piece. This is the only part that we are gluing on this yellow piece right now. The rest are just going to be folds. So I have folded over this square, folded it over to the back. I'm going to grab my liquid adhesive, but you can use glue dots or tape runner, whatever adhesive you find works best. I'm going to add a little bit to the back side of that square, pinch that, and hold that in place. Let that adhesive set so that it sets up really nicely before I move on to folding the rest of the score lines on this piece. Now there's 2 little arms on the left and right side that also have score lines. You're going to fold each of these over on top of that piece we just glued down so that it's kind of giving that glued square a little hug. You can see that there. Again, we are not gluing those in place. Those need to be able to move later on in the assembly, so do not glue those arms in place. Now the little top hat or the head part of this piece, we're going to fold down, again not adhering because this is something that's going to be moving later on. Those little legs that you see up at the top and bottom, Do not fold those. Those should never get folded. Those are going to act as little notches to kind of hold this in place so that it doesn't move later on. I'm going to speed this up and go ahead and repeat this process with the other two pieces. So again, I'm folding back that square, adding a little bit of adhesive, pinching that, letting that glue set. I'm going to fold over my arms, give that little piece a hug, and then fold that head part down. And I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to grab this next green long piece, the one with the arrow over on the right-hand side. You can see there are 2 notches cut in the top portion. That's going to be a guide notch for us to know where to adhere these little yellow pieces. So I'm going to take that head that I folded over, and I'm going to make sure that I'm lining that up with that notch line. You want the head to be glued down, and the body of this yellow piece should open up towards the left. So away from that arrow, kind of just like this, so that those little legs that we don't fold, those are going to nestle on top of the notch line down at the bottom of that green strip. I'm adding a little bit of adhesive to the head piece that we folded over, and I'm going to line up the edge of that fold line where we folded it back. That is going to get right on top of this little pierced guide line. Again, that head piece that I put the glue on, that's to the right. The body is going to open up to the left. I added my adhesive. I'm going to give that a little pinch, give it a little minute to set, and then I'll be able to fold this back and forth. So the body of that yellow piece should be able to move freely. Only that head, that little kind of, I don't even know what the shape is, maybe half a hexagon type piece, that is the only part that is moved down. The rest is still movable. Let's repeat that with the next 2 pieces. I'm going to add adhesive on to that head piece, line up that score line so that the edge of that fold is right on that notched piece that's on the top of the green strip. I'm going to glue that down so that the head of the yellow piece is on the right, so that the body opens up to the left. And again, the body should be free moving. That little yellow flap should be the only thing that is adhered down. The rest of the body, the arms, those are all free moving. The last piece is the only one that's a little bit different. There's no notched or pierced guideline. You're going to line up that edge of the fold line right on the edge of the green strip. So this one's probably the easiest because you don't have to really worry about lining it up. Just use your fingers to press that up to the edge, and you'll make sure that that is right where it needs to be. Again, I'm just pinching that, giving that a minute to set, and here you go. You can see that now I have all 3 of those yellow pieces glued down, and I'm going to secure those by folding up on the bottom piece. Each of these green pieces are going to fold up, and they will nestle right in between these little yellow bodies that we have glued down. Folding up each of those 3 flaps on the green piece, and you can see here that now I have those yellow pieces that are still free moving. All those green pieces are doing are just kind of folding up, and they're going to lock that yellow piece in place. I'm going to add adhesive onto the green flap and fold it up and pinch it in place so that it can adhere and set really well. All right, let's do this again with the middle green flap. I'm going to add my adhesive and then fold that up so that it is sealing the head of that yellow piece into place. Now before I do this last one with the arrow, this is an optional step, but you can see here when I fold this up, the green paper is going to be green on green for that arrow, and I wanted it to stand out a little more. So I have a piece of scrap white cardstock, no measurements for this, I just use my scissors to cut it down so that it'll fit inside of this green strip. And I'm going to use my liquid adhesive and adhere that on to the back of that green strip of paper so that when I fold this over, you can see a bit of white popping out. Again, totally optional. You do not have to do this. I just wanted to add this for a little bit of color differentiation in my pull panel because this is what you're going to see as the recipient. You're not going to see this whole strip. You're just going to see that green arrow. So I really wanted that to pop. All right, here's what we're working with so far. This is the strip all done. So you have these little yellow pieces sticking up on this green pull strip. Now here you want to make sure that those arms that we folded in the beginning, you want to fold those in nice and tight and make sure that they're tucked in. And then you're going to grab the front panel that you cut. For me, it's my pink panel, and you can see that there are 3 slots cut into this. Those yellow bodies, those yellow folded up bodies, those are going to come right up from the back and poke through those holes. So that's why you kind of want to have those arms folded in so that you can make sure they fit right through. See, here you go, I'm coming right from the back, popping those little yellow bodies up and through each of the slots in the pink card front. Here we go, now that's pulled through. And once that is done, you want to take those arms that were hugging that yellow body and unfold them. And that is what's going to lock your sliding mechanism in place. So again, really important that you don't glue those down, because now you can see I'm going to pull on this pull tab, and this is going to flip and flap back and forth, and it's not going to pull out because those arms are unfolded and locking that piece in place. Okay, so here's some more important information. We need to adhere this onto that blue card front, and we need to adhere this in such a way that we are not going to be gluing down that sliding mechanism. You did all that work to make sure this moves. You don't want to mess that up. So adhesive is only going to go on the top and bottom. If you saw, I didn't get my foam tape anywhere close to that sliding mechanism. I use really thin foam tape in my craft room, so I did double it up just to make sure that that mechanism was going to be able to move freely. I didn't want to put all the work into making this interactive and then not have it work. So I lined up that pink panel, the notch on the right side, I lined that up with the notch in my card base, and this is, you are on your way now. All that's left to do is adhere your little rectangles. And again, you can use the straight edge or the scalloped edge. You do need 6 of them. Because of this interactive card, you're going to see both the front and the back of these. So I'm going to start by pulling that pull tab out so it's kind of in the open position. You don't have to do this, you can do it the other way. I just found this easier. And then I'm going to add adhesive onto the back of one of those yellow bodies, and I'm going to glue one rectangle in place. I'm kind of making sure that that's straight, lining up those edges with the top and bottom of my pink panel, and then I'm pushing that mechanism back in. You always want to use that push-pull mechanism on the side, the arrow. You don't want to just bend those yellow bodies back and forth because you could mess up your mechanism, and you don't want to put all the work into making this and then ruin it in the end. So always, always, always use that pull tab. After I have the back piece added on, I added the one on the front. Let's do that again. I'm adding a rectangle onto the back of one of those yellow bodies. I have my mechanism in the open position. Then I'll push that and close it up. And then I'm going to add some adhesive on to what's the back side of the back rectangle and add another rectangle on the front. And I'm just lining up those edges. Easy peasy. And you'll notice here, as I'm working, every time I'm gluing one of these rectangles down, I'm going to push and pull on that pull tab to make sure this flip flap is flipping and flapping, because you don't want to have a mechanism that doesn't work. And if I can catch a mistake early, I can usually fix it. So I am making sure that with every single rectangle I put down, I'm testing that mechanism to make sure that I haven't messed up the yellow tabs by maybe putting my rectangles on too close to that mechanism that's sliding back and forth. Here we go. That's it. I took this slow, so it took a little bit of time, but I promise you, once you put one of these together, you're going to be able to put a whole bunch together in no time at all. It really is simple. The best way to learn to do it is to just do it, and then you'll be able to repeat that process over and over again. So here's the same card with the same colors, so you can clearly see those patterns are different. Here's the scalloped, and then the other one I used the straight edge rectangle. Same mechanism, works the same way, just depends on which design you want to do. Now all you have to do is add some stamped images to the front and back of each of those rectangles, and you'll have a super fun card. I will have other videos on the LDRS Creative YouTube channel showing how to use the Flip Flap Trio dies with the stamp set so that you can see some completed projects. So be sure to check those out as well. That's all. I hope you had fun with this Flip Flap Trio die assembly tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye!